I was going to write out a structure for this video, but you know what? I feel like I would much rather just spew it all out. I have been avoiding making this video for a little bit just because it's kind of vulnerable for me to be sharing everything that I've been going through, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. It's currently sheet day, so that's why this is blank right now. It's been a year now. Let me just catch you up on some things. Let's just play a little catch up. Grab your coffee, sit down with me. Hopefully your coffee tastes better than mine. Let's go through this. In honor of me having lived in Los Angeles for the past 2 years, I figured I would wear my Los Angeles sweatshirt. I actually love this sweatshirt. It's just from the LAX airport. If you don't know me, if you're new to my channel, I moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago, almost. I wanted to pursue acting in film and television. However, I had to make a living. I worked a couple different jobs in medical offices, and then I landed a full-time job working in hair restoration, 9 to 5 kind of vibe. That didn't really give me any time or energy to pursue acting. I left that full-time job in February of 2022. The reason I moved out to Los Angeles was so I could pursue acting, and I hadn't been doing that because I had to have a full-time job so I could afford to even live there in the first place. I'm still not sure how people do that for a living, and it's not a lifestyle that I necessarily want for myself, which is why I left. I researched a whole lot of agents. I finally managed to get one's attention, more of a boutique, smaller agency. I never actually booked anything with him because he only sent me 3 auditions in like a span of 6 months. I got numerous headshots that I didn't even like. Personally, I just feel like I'm not really photogenic. And I did student films. I had a supporting role in one student film, and then in the second one, I got the lead, and I was so excited. The thing is, I felt terrible. I felt like I wasn't a good actor. I was trained in theater in college, and I'm used to just getting roles in shows because our school is putting on XYZ number of shows and they need this type for this role and this, and not to say that everybody always gets cast, but it's a lot smaller pool than the real world. It's not to say that people didn't like warn me like, oh, it's hard being an actor, and when you get out in the real world, you know, you're kind of like, yeah, whatever. So when I moved out to LA and I did these student films, I had no idea what kind of technique to use. I was so out of my element because it was so much more technical. Theater, you rehearse for months, you get to know people, you get to practice. With this, I was just stuck in front of lights and cameras and mics and everyone around me. Everyone else is in charge. Oh my god. Basically, it's a tech rehearsal, except it's the real thing. You cannot make different choices. That is something that I hated about it. I felt so much pressure. I felt like I could not change up what I was doing. At the same time, I was also trying to make money from this, so I would go and background act in as many things as I could get through central casting. The thing about doing background acting, at least this past year, is that you had to get COVID tested at least the day before in order to be able to work on set the next day. So what that means is it's harder for you to book more projects. Let's say I get COVID tested on Monday and I'm working on set on Tuesday, and then I get an email notification asking me if I can work tomorrow, but I have to get COVID tested today. How can I get COVID tested today when I'm on set working on a different project today? You can't. They won't let you. Well, there goes that project and there goes that money. So it was really hard. You never know what you're gonna get, if anything. You feel like a prop when you're on set. I only had one example of when I actually felt like, oh, I'm working with a director. I remember I was on the set of Quantum Leap, and I was asked to stand in front of a coffee cart and be the person who grabs the coffee and then moves out of the shot so they can actually get the action. And I messed it up. I had to coordinate with the person across from me who's like making the coffee. We'll do this and we'll say this and we'll grab that. So I was doing that interaction for like minutes and minutes because they wanted me to practice that, even though it's literally just grabbing coffee from a freaking cart. And then the director comes over and he's like, hey, I want you to move on this. So instead of prioritizing the director asking me to move, I was busy focusing on the scene that I had been practicing from these other people telling me to practice this. So then the first take we did, he didn't give me my coffee fast enough, even though the car was there. So I should have moved because that was my cue. So I missed my cue, but it was my fault. I should have just left anyway because I didn't realize in TV, it's more important for you to make your cue on time because I was blocking the shot. So afterwards he came up to me and he was like, you blocked the whole shot. I felt so bad. I felt like a failure. We redid it like twice. Anyway, It didn't even make it in the thing. It's exciting getting to be like, hey, I'm in Grey's Anatomy, but it's like, it's only 2 seconds, and it honestly was not fun. It was the longest day of my life. They made me sprint up and down a hill just to get different scrub colors, and then the director pointed out me because costumes put me in the wrong scrubs color, and it was really embarrassing. You just feel like the scum of the earth when you're background on a set, and it didn't feel like acting, and I was just doing it for the money, even though it was minimum wage because I was non-union. I kind of lost my love for acting because I grew up in the theater and I liked the sense of community and I liked doing live shows. You know what? At least I tried it. At least I put myself out there. The best part of it was making new friends on every single set. That went on throughout the whole summer. Actually, first, when I quit my job, I was dog walking. I even tried DoorDash and Shipped. I wasn't making enough money for how far I was driving, especially in LA. I did a lot of freelancing, so I started making content. Most of the social media stuff that I did was like raw footage, and it was for a certain brand. A lot of the times I would just film inside of my apartment. However, it was not enough. None of the things I was doing was enough to be able to afford to live in Los Angeles. Basically, I was just kind of depressed because also like someone that I thought was my closest friend in LA stopped putting in effort. I just felt really alone and like everything was falling apart. Anyway, if you had asked me like even the beginning of November, hey, why don't you consider moving back to Colorado, move back in with your parents? My parents always put that out there as an option, and I judged it so harshly because of the way society views that. And I'm a part of society. Living with my parents when I had just moved away 2 years ago to live on my own in a city that I enjoy, only to backtrack and move back in with my parents at age 25. It sounded horrible. It sounded like the worst possible outcome. Yeah, things changed because of how poorly things were going for me. I don't think anybody really knew this. I don't really tell people this because I'm sure other people do this too. When things start to go south for you, you just kind of avoid talking to the people who you should be talking to, who care about you the most. I don't ever want to be negative. You know, it's embarrassing and I'm ashamed that I'm doing this. So I was just in like a bad headspace because I was in debt and I wasn't acting and doing anything that I loved. Oh, I forgot to mention, I started writing a screenplay that me and my best friend came up with the idea for, and it was a great light in my life. I thought I could actually become a screenwriter, and I actually applied for a lot of writing jobs in Los Angeles. Anything I could get my hands on, I applied for. I got nothing. I'm sure there are ways that people try harder. I just couldn't. After not, I didn't fail at being an actor. I just tried, and it wasn't what I expected, nor was it something that I loved and wanted to continue. I could put myself through some more hardship if I really want. I can try to work at a cafe or something and hate my life and audition for things. But you know what? I hated auditioning for things. Why would I do that to myself? I tried it, I realized I didn't like it, and that's not a failure. That's a success. Anyway, so I had COVID for like a week, and at this time, this was like mid-November, and I needed to be out of that apartment by December 1st. I called my mom because I didn't know what I was gonna do, and she was like, you can always just come home. Just come home, you can figure your stuff out. And all of a sudden, it just clicked, and I realized that was my best option. That sounded like a dream to me instead of the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Oh my god, I'm tearing up already. Words cannot describe how grateful I am for my parents. More so than all the embarrassment, the shame, more than all of that is an overwhelming feeling of being so immensely grateful that I had a place to come home to. Whew. So I sold a lot of my stuff, I packed up my car, and I left on November 30th. I probably should have done this the first time. I went through Arizona and New Mexico instead of going through Nevada and Utah. It was kind of cool because I do love a good road trip, and I got to see some places that I've never been before. So now you're all caught up. I've been applying for jobs like crazy. Hopefully I will get one soon. I also am back to making YouTube videos because this is what I actually really enjoy doing. I do hop from project to project a lot, whether it's designing a coloring book, acting, making YouTube videos, writing a screenplay. But right now I'm back to making YouTube videos because I'm really passionate about this. I think my favorite part of making videos is the editing part, more so than actually filming them or making the thumbnail. Oh my god, that's my least favorite thing to do. I stopped making YouTube videos because I was trying to pursue acting, and I think that was a wise choice. I also did a lot of audience work. I didn't mention that, but before I got into background acting on sets, I did a lot of clapping my hands in an audience. Those aren't actually real people most of the time. They're actors clapping because they're getting paid. I think my next video is going to be my coffee review video, so stay tuned for that.